Your first question comes from the line of Rick Bell with Post Media. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Premier. I know you met with Prime Minister Carney 2 weeks ago, and you were quite positive, and I know you're hoping for the best, and I know you're an optimist at heart, but actions have consequences and inactions have consequences. You have 9 demands on the table that you would like to see dealt with in the next 6 months. My question is, what do you believe the reaction of Albertans, not the rest of the country, just Albertans, what the reaction of Albertans will be if those demands that you have on the table are not met? In other words, what is the risk for the Prime Minister, for the Canadian government, for Canada? What is the risk of not dealing with those 9 issues and following through and getting that new deal that you want?
Maybe I'll put it in practical terms, because I know that the federal government is seeking input on projects that might qualify for a fast-track process. And so that's what I'll be looking at as an indicator of whether the federal government is going to meet us partway. Because the project I've put on the table is a revival of the Northern Gateway pipeline to Port of Prince Rupert. Because when you look at that particular route, it gives us access to all the Asian markets and gives us a preference of being able to get our product there over any country in the world. We've got 8 days or 10 days to South Korea and to Tokyo, and then going on to the east coast of India and all the other nations in between. And so being able to create new markets there with additional export of bitumen is going to be incredibly important. Some of the biggest refinery in the world of heavy oil is in India. There are 4 Korean refineries that have already received shipments of Trans Mountain heavy oil, and they like it, and they want more of it. So what does that mean? Well, they'd have to have a fast-track process to approve that pipeline, so we're not waiting 10 years, and so that it is de-risked to a point where somebody will come along and build it. And if you're going to have that pipeline end at Port of Prince Rupert, well, you're going to have to do a carve-out on the tanker ban so that we can load it onto a boat and get it overseas. And if you do all of that, then you're going to probably have to take the ties off of our energy industry to talk about how we're going to reduce our emissions without facing criminal penalty, because right now that's called greenwashing under their Bill 59. And to be able to get support, we'd have to talk about the Pathways Project and how we might be able to decarbonize the production. And that means no emissions caps, because if you want to increase your export, you can't have an emissions cap which acts as a production cap. And on top of that, we have a framework for how our carbon emissions are priced, which we've been doing since 2007. And we've heard you can't go above $100, otherwise it's going to create an economic environment where people won't invest here. So that means they can't layer on their own carbon tax regime. So those are like 5 things right there that they would signal to me that they were serious about changing things if they agreed to the Port of Prince Rupert revival of Northern Gateway or something like it. So that's what I'm looking for.
And I'm sure most Albertans are looking for that too. If that doesn't happen, if Alberta's heart gets broken yet again, and you've seen this movie many times, and you've heard people speak very positively, and then in the end nothing happens, what is the risk if you want to national unity? If we can't get that, which is, as you say, a very specific, hands-on project, if that can't be accepted, and what goes along with that, what do you think the reaction of Albertans will be to that if it is rejected, and what do you think that means for Confederation?
Well, let me answer in a very practical way again, because I know that there are several projects that are being floated to the U.S. Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum, that would get more of our oil and gas out of Alberta and into the United States. And then I would say to my colleagues again, what do you think it's going to do to national unity that it's easier for Alberta to get its product traded to the United States than through British Columbia or through Eastern Canada? And then we're going to have that conversation, because that is the problem that we have right now, is that we all have stronger ties north-south than we do east-west. And so I'll be looking at that as an indicator of whether words were said just to win elections, or whether words were said because we're serious about trading with each other and supporting each other. And we're serious about finding new markets for our products. So I think we'll know pretty soon, Rick, about whether or not we're going to have to switch our focus to continuing to expand our relationship with the United States, or whether our neighbors are going to be serious about not just having us on Team Canada, but Team Canada being on Team Alberta.
Rick, go ahead, Tim.
Hey, Tim Brooks, CTV. I'm just having a tough time getting an answer on this one from your government. So I'm hoping to kind of figure out amendments made last minute to Bill 54 in the name of honoring, respecting treaty rights, etc. So can you give us a tangible example of how that could be used in the future if there is a separation referendum? Because a lot of First Nations chiefs, or maybe all First Nations chiefs, would argue that the only way you can honor and respect treaty rights is just by dropping this separation conversation.
Well, I would say that no one is saying that to Quebec. Quebec has 23 bloc MPs, and they have a Parti Québécois that is polling at the highest amount. And so it seems to me that's a question for scholars, legal scholars, to answer. It's a question that's been put to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court answered it. It's been addressed in the Clarity Act about self-determination. And so I think those are details that I would leave to the lawyers to sort out. As you know, at the moment, there are no petition campaigns. There's no referendums planned. I have always said I support a sovereign Alberta within a united Canada, and my job is to get a new deal with Canada, which is what I'm going to be spending my time on.